And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the season premiere of the 2025-26 season of the Morphinominal Hockey Show. It is I, Michael, and he's everyone's favorite hockey-playing actor, but beware, he may go shredder on you. It's Tohoru Masamune. Yes, I actually wrote an intro for you.
Oh, you did? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Amazing.
I wrote an intro for Ted Starkey, who will be on next week's episode. I need to write an intro for somebody who we're probably gonna we're gonna have on in 2 weeks that I'm not gonna say yet because we're gonna probably promote that on social media.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so yeah, because Starkey was him and I were chatting about like intros, and I was just like I just started writing intros, and so yours became everyone's favorite hockey playing actor.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. Actually, it's funny. Well, I tell you everything's crazy right now, so I haven't been on the ice for a while. I did go to stick time the other day. I don't know if you've ever had that thing where you go and
Oh, you stick and
I'm
shoot?
really lazy and I was thinking my skating's poor because I suck, but then I just said, you know what? And I was playing, when there's that little bit of a slip when you're skating and you're thinking, maybe I need to get my skates sharpened. And there's this one guy on my team that he does them for everybody, and he's great. And I just had it done. I'm thinking, okay. And I always joke that my equipment's always the least of my problems. I never blame things on my equipment because which is always pretty accurate. And I just sharpened them up and I went out there and I hadn't been on the ice for a month, a good solid month because I was back east. I was traveling, blah, blah, blah. And it felt good, man. It felt really good. I've been really, you know, um, getting back into shape. So it felt good. It really felt good to be on the ice. Got a new season coming up. And I don't know. In my mind, it's always a little disappointing because in your mind, you're going to be fantastic from watching all those YouTube videos on, different power moves and everything like that. And then you actually go on the ice and okay, no, I still, I still
I
suck.
I still suck.
I still
Yeah,
suck. Yeah,
so- but
that's
but
my mind.
but you have an advantage over me because I've been playing ball hockey, so I've been running in the gym or I've been running on concrete
Right.
for all these years. I haven't been on the ice for ice hockey since maybe March of 2019.
Well, you
So
got to
you
do it,
had
man.
definitely have a bigger advantage over me on that one.
Yep. Yeah, you got to do it, man. Though it's something else. I
The,
mean,
the the only problem is that whenever they do stick and shoot sessions here, like out where I live, like the closest rink is Rockville, Maryland, and the problem
oh,
is that
really?
they do it at like Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. But the problem with
Right.
that is you're at work.
Ah, yeah.
It's like, hey, sorry, work. I'm gonna go for like 3 hours so I can go hop on the ice real quick. It's
Yeah,
like the
all
work
those.
work's gonna look at you and go like the hell you are.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the stick times tend to be in the middle of the day, but gotta join a league, man. It's
Yeah, well, let me get a job first and regain my job stability and financial stability first because I'm still looking for full-time work.
there you go, there you go,
So,
there you go.
but super quick before we actually hop into everything, just want to put this out there that the More Phenomenal Hockey Show is brought to you by Cool Hockey. You like the jerseys you see us wearing on the show. I know Tora's not wearing one right now,
No.
but head over to the official NHL jersey retailer for the show and TXHT Hockey. Use our exclusive link of coolhockey.com/TXHT. Again, that is coolhockey.com/TXHT and order your NHL jersey today. And with that, we're going to just transition. We're just going to go right into NHL talk.
Okay.
NHL season starts up this Tuesday. We're recording this. Well, it's 12:29 in the morning for me on October 4th, but it is 9:30 in the evening October 3rd for you
Yep.
at the time of this recording. So I'm already a day ahead of you now at this point.
Nice.
Um, but so the season starts on Tuesday. Your Oilers start on Wednesday. My Capitals start on Wednesday. Um, there's not a lot to talk about for the
Oh,
Capitals
by the
right
way,
now.
well, I can do a little live reporting here. Game over, tie game for Oilers Canucks.
Preseason.
Yeah, they just won, but
So we'll
yeah,
we'll
so
talk some preseason a little bit, but like I know for the Capitals, there's not a lot to talk about right now because like obviously OV's 3 goals away from 900. I saw a stat and it was a very interesting one. I think it was Greg Wisniewski with his he writes for ESPN. He's on the sheet with Jeff Merrick on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he or Tuesdays and Fridays I think, or Tuesdays and Thursdays I think. I don't remember what it is for them, but he did bold predictions, and I forget the stat. I think he said he like Ovechkin is 44 goals away from breaking another Gretzky goal scoring record,
oh
and
yeah.
it is the playoff and regular season combined record.
Oh wow.
So apparently he's like 44 goals away from that.
Wow.
So
That's amazing, isn't it? It's
yeah,
amazing.
but like Ovi's 3 goals away from 900, and as they put it, every goal that Ovechkin scores at this point now is a record-breaking goal until he retires.
Yeah,
Um,
how fun is that?
and I don't need to rehash the thing we talked about at the end at our season finale back in June about Ovechkin, but it is safe to say whatever Ovi decides to do, it is most likely probably going to come after the Olympic break
Hmm.
in February. That is probably when we'll find out if Ovechkin's going to re-sign for another year or if he is going to retire from the NHL. But one way or the other, we will still have our Ovi's Great Crunch, which is
Yep.
store branded corn bran cereal.
Nice.
This actually
Nice.
came out
It's hilarious.
a few weeks ago. If you want a box, Turo, I will gladly send you a box.
That's hilarious.
Just if you like Raisin Bran, like I do,
Yeah, Raising
it's
Brand's
just
good.
like that, but minus the raisins, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
Nice. Yeah,
picked up
healthy
four.
cereal.
I
That's
picked up.
awesome.
I picked up 4 boxes the day they released it. You see one behind me, right over there. That's the box I've been eating. So
Yeah, you got to get him to sign one of them. So
that's the problem. If you do, it's already got a signature on it. If you see in the
yep.
picture,
Yeah.
and then it has it again on the back. So it's like if you go get this autographed, it's just going to look really stupid.
Well, get a handprint or something, a
Yeah,
thumbprint.
it's like yeah, I'll just get like Ovi to just like put ink on his thumb and just thumb stamp
Exactly.
it. But yeah, so there's not a lot to talk about with the Capitals. We're pretty much going back with almost the same team as last year. There will probably be a little bit of regression, but they're probably going to be a playoff team. The real
Yeah,
question
absolutely.
is going to be on your Oilers
Yeah, absolutely.
because Connor McDavid is in the last year of his contract.
Yep.
Obviously, the big conversation is what is McDavid going to do? I like the one thing I heard about McDavid where he's probably going to wait a few months to see how the Oilers are doing as a whole because, quite frankly, they did not fix a lot of the holes that they needed
Yep.
to fix, like goaltending and defense.
A rather
Like,
major one.
yeah, the
And they
major
got they got
ones.
a lot of young guys coming up, and you never know. I mean, they're good players. They're exciting, but they are young players. The fourth line.
But
So
the problem is that when you've been to the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row and have lost to the same team, it's the same story, just different year. And I think that's the thing that McDavid's really looking at
yep, yep,
is how are we going to change the story
yep.
for this year?
Yeah,
Because he's not going to sign a 7 or 8 year contract like what Kirill Kaprizov signed with Minnesota, where he signed that 8 year, 17 million AAV contract. McDavid is probably, if he does resign with Edmonton, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 years.
sure, sure, absolutely, absolutely. But
So,
a lot of it too is I keep thinking, I mean, I know there's a lot of this being made of it, and I do believe all those things factor in, but I also kind of think, like, I know from my own experience, it's like, I keep thinking, why sign a contract before you have to? Like to me, it's sort of like, especially you think about the Kaprizov. Well, now he's in a better position. So even if his agent is handling that, so that's why I'm sort of thinking, well, if if they're letting him, I mean, why sign a contract before you need to? I don't know. That's sort of my theory. I mean, I definitely feel that, um, that thing I was just doing. I was part of that, because I was all the AI, so I was part of that negotiation. I'm thinking, and it wasn't McDavid money, by the way, but but nonetheless, we're working with all that, and but I thought, you know what, it'll be signed and closed the day before I shoot, so that's that. And I thought, because there's no reason to do it before then, because you don't know what is ideal. So I think there is some element of that too, that really just that's smart to, I mean, there are deadlines and fans are freaking out and everything like that. But I think that, and that is, I think you're right. I think that he's kind of looking, but I think right now, I don't know him, but my guess is he just wants to win next year, and that's the team he's on, whether, regardless. And I think that's where his focus is, and that's sort of my feeling. And when he has to think about the contract, I think that's what will happen. I don't know when it's due,
And
but
here's the thing, and this has been said by Pierre LeBrun, Elliot Friedman, Chris Johnston, Jeff Merrick. They've all been saying the same thing, and that is Connor McDavid, when it comes to contract talks, is a unicorn. Kirill Kaprizov's contract is not going to play a factor at all
you might be right.
with
Yeah,
what Connor does, because whatever Kaprizov got, McDavid's going to get more, but McDavid may also take less for the team that he's going to be on to build around him.
yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's like it's also two different scenarios. If Kaprizov's contract is going to affect anybody, it's going to affect a Jack Eichel
Sure.
that's in the last year of his contract. It's a Kyle Connor who's in the last year of his contract. It's more those type of guys
Yep.
because McDavid's just on a level all of his
Well,
own.
he's going to get whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, McDavid
So,
will get whatever he wants. It's just the question is it going to be with the Oilers or is he going to go elsewhere because of the fact that, as he said before, it's the same story, just a different year. Nothing has changed,
but I do guarantee you that his lawyers are concerned about the what he ends up getting.
Oh, his
So
agents, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so that, and who knows what the dynamics are, but that's sort of, I don't know him at all, but I don't think he's sitting there. He strikes me as someone who knows he's set financially and is not worried about that part, and is more concerned about winning. And I think, is the type of person that says, I need to look at what's right in front of me. This is our team right now,
Give it
and
a few months of the season to see how
yeah.
the team is doing. The head coach Chris Knobloch just signed an extension this
Yeah, that was good. That was good to
today
hear.
or on
Well,
Friday.
and that's a good thing too. That was very late, but I'm thinking, that to me totally makes sense. Is like, man, why sign a contract before you have to? I don't know. That's sort of my feeling. I mean, that's smart business, I think. So anyway, there is all that, and I think but I really think, as far as I don't think, maybe I'm very naive, but my instinct is, just given my sense of the way he is, I don't think he's even thinking ahead. I think he's thinking, this season we're gonna get the cup. He's like, because I think there's that whole interview he had with Zach Hyman, which was really a lot of fun. And they were talking about, or that whole thing of everybody saying, "Oh, you must be heartbroken." He's saying that's so stupid, because, like, if anything, we're by far the most motivated team in the league right now.
I mean, there is heartbreak. Like let's be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, you get that close back-to-back years and you've pretty much run into the same team again.
Well,
That's a heartbreaking moment right there. But at the same time, you can take that heartbreak and turn it
Yeah,
into motivation.
well, it is, and I will say that I always we all have versions of that, and there are two mentalities, and I think the real and I'm definitely going to put McDavid into that category. I aspire to be this sort of mentality is that um that's part there's heartbreak that can lead to motivation, or there's heartbreak that can lead to discouragement. And the championship mentality for sure is leads to motivation, and maybe that's a good thing, because I think that's, I mean, what I think that's a big. I remember Tom Brady talked about that. Like constantly find ways to motivate yourself when you're at that level is tricky, and maybe he secretly thinks it's a gift that he has that motivation with all he's accomplished. That, and it's a huge one. It's not like, oh well, it's a real motivation. I always think of sometimes I think, yeah, sometimes I think, oh boy, it'd be great to be like, more famous and, whatever. But I think, yeah, actually you don't, because I'm kind of thankful that I get up in the morning saying, all right, well, I still got a ways to go. And that keeps me trying to fire on all cylinders, because I got some unfinished business. And I think that's a real gift to have that personally. And I kind of from my sense of, especially because I'm sure the money doesn't matter. I don't think he cares if he has,
Oh,
you know
he McDavid's going to make bank
he
regardless.
he already knows it. And he's
I think the last thing I heard about McDavid in a contract is that they pretty much already know what the terms would be. It's just a matter of saying, okay, this many years, this
yep,
AAV,
yep.
prepare the
So
contract to be signed.
yeah,
I,
so
like that's how easy it's going to be with McDavid.
oh, I'm sure. And as I was saying, I would be surprised if they're just saying, and I bet you anything, the Oilers organization are not too stressed right now either. They're probably thinking, okay, well, yes, we'll be bummed if you don't, but there's, right now, the issue is we got to win, and if they win, then all the problems go out the window, right? So that's sort of, I would think, if it were me running the organization, that's what I would think. You know what? And we're not going to win if we're thinking about us, if we're thinking too far ahead. I mean, I guess that's very naive, because, of course, if you're running an organization, you have to think ahead. But I think at the end of the day, none of this means anything unless they win this year, unless they win the cup this year, and that's pretty darn good motivation. And this is me, because I'm a pathological optimist, and this is why I continue to act. I suppose is I really like that, where I sort of feel like, that's that's a great motivation to have, that you have no choice, that you have to win the cup or nothing, or you have nothing left. And I think it's I
Well,
think it's I think it's
one
healthy,
thing to
because that's
keep in
probably what.
mind is the conversation on Ovechkin, and which was also a conversation about Steve Yzerman,
Hmm.
because these are two guys who are generational faces of their franchises.
Yep.
And there was a lot of talk that, Yzerman was never going to win a Stanley Cup in
Yep.
Detroit. And then he finally did in
He
97,
won a
98.
couple, right, or something. There was something, he went on a bit of a run after that, right? It was
Yeah, and then, the same conversation was about Ovechkin. Ovechkin didn't win the cup until his 13th season in the NHL. And I
well,
think it was about the same for Yzerman too.
yeah,
So it
and that
and then look at Ray Bork. It took him 22 years to win a Stanley Cup.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think people who have uh I kind of feel like deep down these guys don't get discouraged in the way the rest of us do. I think they actually, and there's no question, right? We know that. Um, I've always said, like, if you don't, it's like, evolution or whatever is like a systematic error management. If, like, if you're not making mistakes constantly, you're not on the right path, and like, and sort of like, this is a real rationalization, but I just kind of feel like any setback is that's good. that means I'm going in the right direction because um, and maybe secretly, maybe that kind of mentality enjoys that too, having that challenge, I mean, that they'd rather be doing that rather than be, sitting there with nothing to accomplish. You know what I mean? Even
No.
if you have millions and cups and everything like that, I think
Yeah, I
I've
mean,
heard this
you
before.
look at Ovechkin. I mean,
Yeah,
if this is the last year for him, we already now know that this is the last year for Anze Kopitar
yeah,
because Kopitar announced that this will be
right.
his last season,
That's right.
and then he's retiring. So obviously, the Kings are going to try to go for it for the cup, um, in LA.
Good luck getting through Edmonton.
They just need to not face Edmonton in the first round. You know, that's the real thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but yeah, so you have to look at from a bunch of these perspectives of like if this is Ovi's last year, we
yep,
know that for a fact this is Kopitar's last year.
yep,
That's motivation for those teams to really want to win the Stanley Cup for those guys.
yep,
Because if
yep,
Ovi says after the Olympics, this is my last season in the NHL, then you damn well know going into the trade deadline. Maybe if Genny Malkin becomes a Washington Capital because he's in the last year of his contract in
mm,
Pittsburgh, and he ain't going to be staying in Pittsburgh past the trade deadline.
right, right, right.
So the Capitals add a piece to really go for the cup to give Ovi one last shot at that Stanley Cup.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
so
So these
it's
are all good, and there's nothing easy on any level. So I think, while I'm sure all these, I think I always feel like I feel like very happy with my life, and I'm thinking, oh my God, with what I have, and I feel good every day. I'm thinking, all right, I can't imagine what it must feel like at that level to sort of feel like, how do you get up in the morning and actually, not, do the stuff that it takes because, like just the physical aspect. I mean, you can't just stay in shape. I mean, it's just, I don't even know how those guys do it. I mean, I think about it all the time. It's like, when I'm like dying in the gym or whatever, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm on such a, expending so little energy relative to what these guys are.
yeah.
And I'm dying. I'm going, oh, I'm going, that's so pathetic, right? I mean, they must do.
And then I'm over here dying because my sinuses are all acting up on me
Yeah.
for all the weather changes out here in Maryland.
Yeah,
So
so I kind of feel like the amount that it takes, and it's not even, you can't casually get there anyway, so it's got to be a gun to the head. I feel like that's the only way to win any championship. It's got to be a gun to the head. I mean, Florida did it. They kept on going up against it, and sure enough, became
it'll
Florida.
be interesting for Florida, though. They're not going to have Matthew Kachuk through at least, I think, to the end of December. He's not supposed to be back till January
Wow,
because he had surgery. You just lost Alexander Barkov. He's expected to miss probably the entirety of the regular season with the knee surgery he had.
that's crazy.
So,
Those are major
and
pieces.
those are
Those aren't.
major pieces to
Yeah.
Florida, but they were able to re-sign Brad Marchand. They were able to re-sign Aaron Ekblad. They were able to
Man,
re-sign
what what
Sam
what what a
Bennett.
what a great signing that Brett Marchand for
No,
both parties.
that signing was a bad signing.
You think it's bad?
Yeah, he's 30. Let me put this in perspective. I just turned 39 on Wednesday, October
Right.
1st. So I just turned 39. Marchand is 37. He signed a 6-year contract. How many years do you really think he's going to play of that contract?
True, true. I'm almost thinking both
If
ways.
you
I
look
think,
at it as a short term, if he had signed a
yeah, yeah,
two,
short.
3 year
That's what.
deal, that's one thing. But a 6-year
Yeah, and then
contract,
that's what
that's
I'm
not a
thinking,
good
short
deal.
term. But I'm thinking, maybe that was a good signing. I'm thinking in terms. Again, obviously, I'm not a long term thinker. I never. I try to look at what's in front of me. That's sort of the way I operate. So yeah, and so it's not smart in that sense. It's not a
This
smart.
is why I have more gray hairs than you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
I'm
I'm
sort of.
thinking long term and I'm stressing out over the long term, and that's why I have more gray hairs.
That long term. What was it? I can't remember. Some economist said in the long term we're all dead. I think it was John Maynard Keynes or something, whoever it was.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I think it is. I have to look that up because in the long term we're all dead. But I'm gonna Google that while we're talking. But anyway, but that being said, they're saying, okay, we're gonna sign this kind of not smart contract to just kind of keep us while we're in the window. Um, with someone who's still got obviously some juice left. I mean, he was great during the
Yeah, of course,
playoffs.
Paul Maurice, because of the whole Amazon Prime show, the big talk is that apparently Paul Maurice, the head coach of the Panthers, saw Brad Marchand like completely naked, and he's like, "Yeah, that'll mess you up for a few months."
That's funny.
I mean, obviously he's joking, but we could talk about that stuff forever, but I also know that we're a little limited on time for this
Yeah,
season
yeah.
premiere. So I want to hop into our next thing, and I just want to we're going to talk hockey jerseys real quick because there are a lot of new jerseys this season, and obviously, as I mentioned at the top of the show, one of our affiliates is Cool Hockey. You use our link coolhockey.com/txht to buy your NHL jerseys, and I'm just going to run through these real quick, and we're going to talk about two specifically.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to run through them in order. Uh, these are the teams who have new home and roads, or in one case, a home, in one case, a road. The Boston Bruins have new home and roads. They pretty much went back to the 1995 style.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. The Boston B is inspired from their 100th anniversary. So instead of doing it with the gold, it's back to the yellow. And they have one bear on the shoulder, which is kind of cool. And
Oh,
the nice little touch is that the road jersey says Boston, the home jersey says Bruins. So it's kind of like the way the Panthers have it with theirs, where their home jersey says Panthers and their road jersey says Florida.
cool.
And then just put this out there on txhthockey.com. I don't have a release date for it yet, but I do have an article on all the new jerseys that are coming out for the 25-26 season. It'll most likely come out in the next couple days because I was waiting for some graphics to come out to put into the article so people can see it. Next up, you have the St. Louis Blues. They pretty much brought back their Winter Classic jerseys from 2017 and 2022 to be
Hmm.
their home and roads. Obviously, the home jersey was their alternate jersey the last few years. They did a minor change where they took away the white around the Blue Note logo on the chest and just made it more of a straight up blue. And for the road jersey, they took away the cream and made it white. Both look, I mean, obviously we've seen the new home jersey and it looks good. One interesting note, what was the home jersey the last several years is now the alternate jersey for the Blues.
Okay. Okay.
So, next up, obviously, is the Utah Mammoth, uh, formerly the Utah Hockey Club.
That's
Uh,
right.
Really, the only difference is that the jersey styles are the same. It's just that the home jersey now has the Mammoth logo on the chest and the Utah patch logos on the shoulders, and then Utah for the road jersey, it still says Utah, but in the new Mammoth font and with the Mammoth logos on the shoulders. Um, And then for road only, we have the Carolina Hurricanes. They essentially took their 2023 Stadium Series jersey and made it white.
Hmm.
I I have mixed emotions because of the fact that I was at the Stadium Series in North Carolina when
Yep.
when the Canes beat up on my Capitals, so I have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna hop to now I said there is a home one only, but that's I have it listed in anniversary, so we'll get to that in a moment. New alternate jerseys. Starting right off the bat, your Edmonton Oilers have a new alternate jersey.
Yeah, you just showed me that. That's
Yeah, I sent you an email, and these are the two that we'll talk. This is one of the two
and
we'll
that's
talk
an
about the
alternate,
most.
right? That was an alternate, right?
Yes, it's an alternate. So
Okay, that's a good alternate. I was
yeah,
thinking I hope they're not
so
the
I'm going to
uniform
read
team.
this for you. This is what I wrote, which will come out soon. And I go, the Oilers introduced us with a cream jersey with large blue and small orange stripes on the lower portion of the jersey and on the sleeves. One of the unique parts of the jersey, in my opinion, is the shoulders. Going with a dominant blue on the shoulders, but adding an orange stripe on both the front and the
Is
back.
that is
Well,
that the royal blue or is that like a dark blue?
I
What
think
is
it's like your royal blue.
the standard
The
color?
standard, yeah. while also giving us a blue stripe underneath the orange is kind of cool and very different from what we normally see on a hockey jersey. Now,
Mm.
this part you don't really see very well in the picture I sent you, but if you go to like the Oilers Twitter or whatever, you can find the photos. Also on the right shoulder is a patch that shows an oil rig with EDM 1979 and oil country. It is a nice patch that blends well with the jersey.
Nice.
And then for the front of the jersey, the Oilers put their name on the front of the jersey with orange streaks both above and below the team's name. This also creates and introduces a new and unique word mark for the Oilers as well. And I'll be honest, it's definitely an improvement from their current bland word mark that they've been using since 2017. Also, for the players' names and numbers, the Oilers are using a completely new font, and I actually really, and I mentioned this to you before we started recording. I really like it. It gives a nice little bit of an edge to it, and it goes well with the jersey as a whole. And I just realized I did not put a D in there. At first glance, I will admit I was confused by this jersey for the Oilers, but after taking some time to look at it, I'd like to see it in action. But if the opportunity arose to get one, I probably would get one for my collection. Toro,
Nice.
as the Oilers fan, what is your thoughts?
Again, it's just been so crazy this fall. I haven't been up on the the jerseys. I do like the it's very retro. I thought what you
It
sent.
definitely does have a retro feel to it.
Yeah, although they didn't actually. I don't believe they've had jerseys like that. I like the what you're saying, and I'll have to check that out later. The oil rig part. I kind of feel like Um, well, that was kind of it's funny, how you don't really think about your childhoods, but I think, yeah, shoot, man, I grew up in oil country. I originally I studied chemical engineering. That's
Yeah,
where I
if I
kind of
if I can find that tweet or Instagram post, I'll send it your way so you
Mhm.
can see all the pictures and everything for it.
And it's kind of interesting too because as I'm far away, and I'll watch like various oiler podcasts and stuff like that, and they're saying, the oil, blah, blah. And I was, yeah, I understand what that place was, and it's this great sort of working class kind of. It's almost like it's kind of the Texas of Canada. It's very funny, and like everybody, all the fans are just these guys who work on oil rigs, and then, so it's a cool, it's a, and they're just regular guys, and it just and girls, of course. And I kind of I like that, and I kind of like that my roots are in that, because sometimes you're in LA or Boston or whatever, you just get too hoity-toity and which I love too, but I just kind of feel like get back to my
Yeah.
working man roots, and so
And
so
and and that was the point of the jersey. That was part of their whole pitch of what the jersey was about.
Yep, I can see that as you describe it. I can see that. So
Yeah.
so I think those are all great, and and it's also very uh typical of the team. I think they are a bunch of working men, and so I like that. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing that. As I was saying, I haven't really looked at it too closely then, but it sounds like some of the just things you're describing are pretty cool and probably in the right direction. Because I gotta say sometimes I miss. I don't know what was that one with the dark blue.
Oh, you're talking about
Dark,
that navy with the orange. It was just a two-tone
I gotta
jersey.
say,
I
I gotta say,
hated that jersey
well,
so
here's the
much.
thing. Here, I kind of like the colors though, because I'm not. I won't. You know. Truth be told, I'm not necessarily crazy about this. I guess royal blue or whatever it is. One thing I will say, I had a kite when I was a kid, and it was orange and blue. I don't know if I can't remember if it was an Oilers thing or why I had it, but I do remember that. And I remember that not the best color combination, like I have, and I thought the dark blue and the orange, and I did notice I bought uh some uh, some head covers for my driver in 3 wood today. Today I ordered online, and and I had some. They're pretty cool, and I'll show them one of these days. And then they had a little one. They only had one off, like in other words, just the driver cover, but they didn't have it for the other woods or whatever. So it wasn't a set. In other words, and what's that? dark blue and orange. I thought just aesthetically speaking, it looked. I said that would look a lot better in my golf bag.
Yeah, I
So
I hated the two-tone. Um, I know Dallas had did something very similar, but with black and neon green, which
yep,
thankfully they
I
are
remember
not
that.
bringing back that jersey.
I remember that.
That jersey has been retired, thankfully, in Dallas. But yeah, moving on, we got the Ottawa Senators bringing in a new alternate jersey. However, what we have seen of the jersey has been very minimal. The best picture that we have is of Senators legend Chris Phillips wearing the jersey for the media, but not a full breakdown that has been shown online outside of a teaser video that the Senators put out. But the one thing that has been noticed is on the center the crest for the Senators, they really did some detailing work to make that logo pop. And
Mm.
man, does it pop really nice. I will just say that. Um, the
That's
Seattle
cool.
Kraken. This is one of two very disappointing jerseys that came out. The
Oh, really?
Kraken, which had possibly the best marketing campaign leading up to the revealing of this jersey, ended up debuting a black jersey with minimal details, with the logo and the numbers being black light activated.
That's
And I
funny.
just look at it and I go,
It's funny.
this sucks. It'll be interesting to see it in action,
Wonder if
but
they'll turn.
it's a
I wonder.
gimmick.
I wonder if they'll turn off the lights in the.
No, they are. They actually, so I think what they did was is that the logo that they put at center ice is this version from the
And they'll have a.
jersey.
They'll have the black
And
light.
apparently they do have a black light presentation, especially for the day that, or for the games when they wear these alternate jerseys.
Come
But
on.
again, oh, there's so much more potential for the Kraken for an alternate
Yeah.
jersey, and this was not it.
Well, I
This
think
was
anytime
not
you have
it.
the newer teams where you're not necessarily tied to a tradition, I think you do have a lot of leeway, and why not? If you're gonna be a newer team, be a newer team, and then just
But they
really
have a really
push.
great secondary logo with the anchor, and a
Okay,
lot of people were really hoping that they would have done something with the anchor instead.
yep, I
And
agree.
that's why a lot of us feel let down
Mm,
by this because they're, like I said, they had so much more potential to do something really
I
great,
agree.
and they didn't do that.
I agree.
And then lastly, of the alternate jerseys is my Washington Capitals. I sent you this one as
Yeah.
well. Um, it's kind of a mismatch on some stuff that the Capitals have done. The base of the jersey is what I'm wearing, which is the old school retro red Washington jerseys that they pretty much debuted with in 1974, but with some changes. Obviously, there's the navy blue border around the white shoulders. They put the red, white, and blue version of the dome logo on the shoulders. They brought back the red, white, and blue Screaming Eagle from when they did the Reverse Retro 1.0 in 2021, which is also where the Dome logo comes from as the centerpiece. The only difference was also the sleeves are different from
Mm,
what the original jersey was, and they're utilizing, as you can see with the Ovechkin jersey hanging behind me on my wall, that is the font style that they're going with this jersey, instead of like this blocky version from the 70s that they used, or the style that they used from 1995 to 2007. Um, I want to see it in person on October 17th, and I'll let you know how I feel then.
yeah.
Other than that, I'll definitely buy the jersey for my collection, obviously, because I'm a sucker like that. Um,
Yeah, they're cool jerseys. Actually, it sort of reminded me of I'm a Patriots fan as well, New England Patriots, and when they made that switch over to that whatever that I don't know what they call the whatever, but that's kind of sweeping kind of it just was nice, and I swear the team was started playing better. And because there's something about I love the fact that it's I don't know. There's something very there's a lot of forward motion, I feel like, in that kind of logo where it's sort of it's very modern, which I like, you know? I mean, and I kind of feel like I like the retro stuff is cool, but sometimes I think, yeah, if you can make it a little sleeker and I mean, that's a bad word to say sleeker or slicker,
More
but
modernized, more
more modernized
futuristic.
and there's a flow to it, which I think goes well with any sport, but certainly in hockey. So I
Well,
think,
that's definitely the thing that they're looking for. They're looking for a way to honor the past, as well as with the Screaming Eagle,
yeah,
but also take it into the future. And
yep,
that's the point of this jersey here. Now, we're going to go into anniversaries. There are three teams celebrating their 100th anniversary. We have two teams celebrating their 25th anniversary and one team celebrating their 35th anniversary. Starting off with the Chicago Blackhawks, they are wearing a special home jersey, which is also the second most disappointing jersey and the worst centennial jersey out of all the centennial jerseys that we have seen, two of which we'll talk about in a bit. Because all the Blackhawks did was they took their current home jersey,
okay,
they put gold around the Blackhawk logo, and on the back numbers, they put a gold border around them. That's it. Nothing special.
Hmm.
Good job, Chicago. Golf
Yeah.
claps for you.
Hey, you know,
Mm.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You know, so
Yeah, but then when you look at what Detroit and the Rangers did,
yeah,
which Detroit, they unveiled a red jersey, and the details on this jersey is so amazing.
mm,
Like they took elements from their 100 years in Detroit and found creative ways to incorporate them into this jersey for the
yeah,
Red Wings. The Red Wings giving nods to their beginnings as Detroit Cougars and brief time as the Detroit Falcons before becoming the Red Wings
wow,
in 1932 was very cool.
amazing.
Like, you know how like on the Fanatics breakaway they have like the little tag thing on the jersey on the
Yeah,
front? On the front where that tag would be, they have a brown leather swatch patch on there to
mm,
represent the leather that was worn back in when they first came in the league in the 1920s
mm,
for like the gloves and the pads and stuff like that. It's little details like that that matter. And the stitching on the logo is like this is what I wrote. For the crest on the jersey, the details with the stitching is gorgeous. The way it's done as a tribute to how the logo looked back in the 1930s is simply outstanding. The attention to detail to make that happen truly is awesome.
mm,
So like that is a great centennial jersey compared to what the Chicago Blackhawks did, which is like, oh, we're just gonna take our current jersey and just put gold.
yeah,
But you know who did utilize gold correctly for their 25th anniversary jersey? The
mm.
Minnesota Wild.
Oh
They
wow,
brought
okay,
back they brought back their original inaugural white jersey from 2000. And
nice.
anything that was originally like beige, they replaced it with gold. And
Mm.
it works perfectly.
Oh, cool, 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 cool.
Highly recommend that one. And it's like the numbers and everything, like the way it was 25 years ago, that's what they're bringing back.
Wow, wow.
New York Rangers 100th anniversary. New York Rangers look to their past for their centennial jersey. The Rangers go back to 1926 with their centennial jersey as they utilize the same colors, wordmark, wordmark font. Sorry, you could tell my sinuses are really bothering me. And font and font style for the name and numbers on the back that they used back then. It's a very
Mm.
simple and touching tribute for the Rangers to show where they started from to where they are now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like that again, that's how you do it. And then Columbus is the other 25th anniversary team, but they're not coming out with a specialty jersey. Um, the San Jose Sharks are doing their 35th anniversary, and they are doing what is called the Heritage 2.0, where they are bringing back the jersey they originally debuted as an alternate in 1997, but became their full-time jersey in 1998 and was worn through 2007.
Hmm.
The only difference that they did here was where it was silver before is gray now. That's the
Okay.
only difference that they did. But other than that, it's a beautiful jersey. And just like with the Wild, the fonts and everything like that from how it was back then when they originally wore them stay the same. So it's really cool. Uh, those are the New Jerseys that we know of. There are rumors of Pittsburgh bringing in a new alternate jersey. Obviously, as I mentioned, Dallas has dropped their alternate jersey. Philadelphia is rumored to have dropped their alternate jersey. This will be the last year of the New Jersey Devils jersey. Um, so because apparently they're going to have a new alternate jersey next year.
Okay.
And so there's and there I think there's rumors of like maybe one or two other new alternate jerseys coming this season.
Nice.
So that is talk on jerseys. And before we go into our Power Ranger Power Play, just want to bring up that the More Phenomenal Hockey Show is also brought to you by Oats Overnight. When we're on the go but still neat breakfast, Oats Overnight is the healthy on the go breakfast choice for the show and TXHD Hockey. Use our exclusive link in the description on both txhdhockey.com and in the YouTube show description to try Oats Overnight today. I actually do like Oats Overnight. It's pretty good. Their flavor and development for the month of October is oatmeal raisin, and I'm really, really, really want to try because raisins and spice is actually one of my favorite oatmeals. So,
Nice.
yes. So, Power Ranger Power Play. There's one thing I want to talk about, but I was wondering if Toro, there was anything you wanted to talk about, anything hockey related before, I go on to another rant like I always do on this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, I figure it's an interesting time of year, right? Because, the season's starting and as I was saying, it's kind of nice that I haven't been on that I've been kind of off the rink for, a good part of a month and a half and so it's almost that whole thing of where you're kind of on your head's in a different space and and I'm also a football fan, so I've been kind of getting into that. Um, and all of a sudden it's nice to get your head back into hockey and quite frankly I probably wouldn't get too worried about what happens at the beginning because I know the Oilers probably can just kind of go on their usual, you know, uh, losing streak. And I thought about that too. Is that it's probably hard to go all the way to the end and play these teams that have had a huge rest. So there's probably a lot of things going on, and I think that's just their style. And I think they also don't stress out too much about that because I'm thinking, the idea, even fixing the team, they're about trade deadline, blah, and they're really about that 7 game series against the Panthers that's on the horizon. And I kind of so it's nice. I'm kind of even though my I feel like my head's in a very in many other things right now. But I think, you know what? It's a good game. It's a real good game. So I'm kind of looking forward to the beginning of the season. So,
Yeah. So obviously the thing I wanted to talk about was the Team Canada 2018 sexual assault
oh,
case. Obviously over the summer, the 5 players
mm,
were found not guilty. However, I'm stressing this because people need to hear this. Just because you are found not guilty does not mean you are innocent.
I
Case in
like that.
point, O.J. Simpson,
Well,
Brock Turner, you know,
a lot of it is, yeah, no, I mean, I think that's, any good defense lawyer, I always think, they assume their client's guilty, but that doesn't matter is how can they get them not charged? You know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's, I think everybody knows that.
Well, and the reason I bring this up is because 2 players in particular that were found not guilty.
Mm,
were linked to both the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. Well, one was linked to the Vegas Golden Knights, but two of them were linked to the Carolina Hurricanes.
mm,
And the two that were linked to the Carolina Hurricanes is goaltender Carter Hart and forward Michael McLeod.
mm,
Carter Hart is also linked to the Vegas Golden Knights. I'll get to this part in a moment because The Athletic had a very interesting article about this. Obviously, I don't think so none of the five players are allowed to sign with a team until October 15th. They are not allowed to actually start practicing with the team until November 15th, and they're not allowed to play in a game until after December 1st, which is when their suspension from the league officially ends. None of these guys should be in the league
mm,
because the reality is that if you actually follow the case, Michael McLeod does not look good at all. Like, yeah, okay, he was found not guilty, but it was very damning of him. And Carter Hart was not did not look good at all either when he testified in the
mm,
case. And the thing people need to understand is that when it comes to sexual assault survivors, the actual victims, the way they process trauma is different from person to person.
yeah.
That is scientifically proven. And the thing is that imagine being this woman who endured 7 hours of this with these guys
Mm,
and then having to relive that through 7 full days of testimony, of cross examinations, and stuff like that.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, yes, things are going to get taken out of context or whatever, but like, and that's why these guys are found not guilty because it's like, imagine you being that person having to sit on that stand and have to relive 7 hours throughout 7 days. That's not fun. It's
Yeah.
not easy. And it's also very traumatic when
Mm,
you think about it. Well, as I mentioned, the Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights. The Athletic was asking players on both teams about the thoughts of them potentially signing one of these guys. And Jordan Stahl, the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes, was like, hey, I went to jail because when he was 18, he did some underage drinking at his brother's wedding and got arrested for disorderly conduct and whatnot. But let's also be honest, that's very different from this case.
mm,
That's an apples to oranges type case.
yeah.
But the thing is, though, is that the Hurricanes welcomed the conversation. Vegas took the athletic reporter when he started asking the questions about Carter Hart, and they were tossed out of the practice facility by Vegas
Mm,
Golden Knights personnel. And for the preseason game later that day, they weren't allowed to be at that game.
okay.
So it shows you a contrast of how these teams are handling this situation. It came out a couple days ago that the Carolina Hurricanes are not going to sign Carter Hart or Michael McLeod. Big reason of it, fan backlash.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of season ticket holders apparently said that they were going to cancel their season tickets if they had signed Carter Hart and Michael McLeod.
Yep.
For Vegas, now all eyes are on Vegas Golden Knights because Carter Hart is still technically linked to potentially signing with them.
Mm,
So now that's going to become the question, especially coming out where it's like, the fact that their PR people wouldn't even let the players, I think it was Brett Howden who was asked the question about Carter Hart, if they're not even going to let you ask questions about it, how are you going to handle signing the guy?
yep.
Because that's all people are going to be wanting to ask.
Yep. Yep.
So it's a very this is one of the other reasons why I say they shouldn't be playing in the NHL because it's going to become. I'll put this in this scenario: when Ovi was chasing Gretzky, that was a welcome distraction. maybe not for the Capitals as a whole because it didn't do them very well going into the playoffs,
Right, right.
but that's a positive for the sport. It's a positive for
Oh,
the
of course.
game. These guys are not going to be bringing in a positive light because of this case.
Yep, yep.
And so that's something that, needs to be, thoroughly looked at more closely. So if anyone who wants to say, Mike, you're an idiot, go ahead, say it in the comments. It's not like I'm going to read them anyways. I mean, actually, I will. I just won't let it bother me.
There you go.
But yeah, but that's how you grow the game.
Yeah,
You grow it with
absolutely.
guys like Ovechkin, not with, guys who are sitting in court.
Oh yeah, for sure,
You
for
know, and
sure.
that's the thing. So, and the thing is that originally people were saying, "Oh, well, Edmonton needs goaltending," and Carter Hart. I mean, I will admit, Carter Hart of the five guys is probably the only one that probably will end up back in the NHL because he was a legitimate number one goaltender.
Right.
What does Edmonton need?
Yeah, I know.
But
That'd be
but
interesting.
Carter Hart, his people have come out and said he's not going to Canada. He wants to stay in the United States.
That'd be interesting though. Huh?
So it's a very interesting thing. But it's something I'm still going to kind of keep tabs on uh, as it goes by.
Yeah.
So, but with that, Toro, my friend, everyone's favorite hockey playing actor,
Yeah.
but beware because you may go shredder on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Never
love
know.
that intro I wrote for you. Where can the people find you on social media? What projects are you working on that you can, keyword is can, talk about?
Well, the it's just Toru Masamune, my name, Toru Masamune. I think it's at the full name. Instagram, that's probably the best place. That's usually the best place. And the thing that I can talk about is it's interesting. I'm working with Bernie, who I worked with on that. We got that Emmy
For the Twitch series.
for the Twitch series, and he called me up. He said, "Hey, I think I might have some for you." And every time we get together, I'm come through LA. Yeah, do you have some time? I might have some for you. And I'm going. And every time he always has some wacky project. He's like a media guy. He's always about pushing the bounds of media. That's why he keeps winning Emmys. And and so it's this whole thing where it's like this AI thing. It's called Whispers. It's by this company Pickford AI. And they just previewed at Busan Film Festival, and I think at Cannes as well earlier. And it's one of those things, that that's why I think the contract was really interesting because I it's a whole new world, and I just went in for a couple hours, and now they have enough to kind of keep me going for years. But they don't know where it'll end up, so there are little things on the contract like they're saying prepayment for full engagement. I said, what the heck is that? And they said, well, that means we have no idea what your
And,
character will
and
be
and just
saying.
to bring this out there, this was a big focal point of the actors and writers strike.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
was because of AI a few years
Yeah,
ago.
and here's the thing, and we actually had a couple real big VO people saying, I don't think it's good, mainly because I get it, because they're not necessarily it's just the optics, because they're I'm VO is just one of the things I do, and also too, I just kind of think, I don't know, this is just me. Yeah, I guess people will lose jobs, and I'm putting together projects, and I use AI all the time. I think fighting it to me is foolish, and that's why I thought was really great about this, because they gave us good contracts for what it was,
And
and
it's SAG approved too,
just everything
which is a
everything
key
about it. No,
factor.
no, and we got paid way over the minimums, and it was, and they were open to, also we had, we were changing language, just everything, and so they gave us a good contract. I said that's actually the way of the future. I
Well,
think
and I bring up the SAG part because that was part of the announcement.
yeah.
That
Well, that
SAG
that is
that SAG is approving it and SAG because if SAG didn't approve it,
yep.
obviously you and the others would not be
Oh,
doing this
absolutely not.
project.
But and sure enough, a couple, just because and it's one of those things that and I'm a technology guy, that, and I kind of feel like it's kind of silly to. try. I mean, if you can try and stop it from but it's also, why not embrace it and then say, okay, so why not have a great thing where I went in for a couple hours and I got paid for a year? I'll do that. I'll do that all day long, and it's good. It wasn't this whole. It's the way it should be. And it's no different from going in shooting a commercial. Probably easier because I mean you're really just in and out in a couple hours, and but it's like like an equivalent of a residual structure. Now that being said, that's what the full engagement thing is saying. We don't know what your character will be saying at the end. You might turn into this heinous character at the end. We don't know because it's everybody else is controlling it. It's like, you're putting your AI, like, this is just my,
Kind of like in a way, like with that Twitch series, it was like where people in the chat were kind of
yeah, but
dictating.
even more so because it is more like, these people that chat GPT, where someone, turns into this big Nazi, blah blah blah. I don't, and I think they'll probably control it somehow. But the idea is that, to me, it's sort of like, but that's the way it is, and it could be really fascinating. I mean, the places debuted, they loved it, and I think that's so cool that, it's not like, okay, these are all pre-recorded things, because no, it's a whole living being that's separate from me now. I did my job, and
Yeah.
they'll pay me
I mean,
for.
I think the biggest thing is that after, and this is a whole nother conversation for another day. And it's funny, we usually don't talk about this stuff on the podcast ever because we usually stick to hockey. But you had the announcement of the series that you're doing.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden you see this thing about this quote unquote actress, which is an AI
yeah,
named Tilly.
yeah.
And everyone's like, hold on a second.
Like, who's going to represent it?
That
I
is
mean,
that is that is not an actress.
yeah,
And
and I,
that's
but
and that now people are kind of going like, okay, now that could be where the lines are blurred.
yeah, and I kind of think, what, of course the lines are going to be blurred, and now I'm obviously, the on some level, maybe they're just different things. You know what I mean? And people, I kind of feel like entertainment is entertainment, and I kind of feel like, okay, and there's things I know I bring to as a human being, but I'm if somehow that's what people, I thought about that recently. It's like, you know what? You can't control what people want to watch. And if they don't like what you're doing, then that's fine. And I can always find venues to do Shakespeare or what, I can always find this stuff, and whatever, I'll do it on whatever level I can. I'll never stop acting, and I love it. And I'll keep doing my thing, and if I end up whatever on whatever level. But I kind of feel like, you have to accept that, this is the way uh, people think. I went to one show as a theater, and I thought it was horrible. It was just terrible. But everybody was cheering at the end. I'm thinking,
Different likes
maybe,
for different people, you know?
yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking it might have been a generational thing. I said, oh, well, if these kids, that's what they want to watch, then I'm the odd man out. And so I kind of feel like if that's the way it goes, and I guess I have the luxury of, only having so much time left in my career.
Yeah.
So by the time, I'm never going to experience that thing where actors have been replaced, which could happen. But you know what? At that point, because I'm producing project, like at some point, says, I don't know, maybe at some point you say, okay, well, I was going to talk about something I can't talk about it, but
Yeah, yeah.
but
Good stopping yourself right there.
yeah, but there are points where you have to think, what is going on right now, and just go with it. And you can sort of hang on to what you wish, the way you wish things were, or you can look at, oh, what are the opportunities that come out of this, and let me go. And if you got to change jobs and do something else, and say, maybe, okay, well, all these, these actors are, say we're 100% act. There's no such thing as a real actor anymore, but guess what? You can still make movies. You just have to know, like, you can still do, you can still create. You can always create, and sometimes your job will change. Just like everybody else, there's so many jobs now in any industry that did not exist 20 years ago, but all of a sudden, I was talking to a guy that actually in my hockey, and it wasn't a hockey team, but he's played with it, but we were just talking in the locker room. It's just during sick time, and he works for the Kings organization, and he does data analysis or something like that. I think he said I'm an off ice official, and he got kind of the stats, blah blah, and he's up. I don't know what he's doing, but he's and I asked him about how AI driven is it like basketball where they're actually changing strategy is or how far are we from robo coach, and um and we were talking about stuff, and we were saying he was telling me how many people have lost their jobs in the King's organization because of AI. And I thought, I get it, especially when you're talking about analytics and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. But I was telling this guy, it's like, all right, well, guess what? Because, yeah, and he says, my job's going to eventually be gone. He goes, well, guess what? Once you learn how to run the AI, because they're going to still need you. You can still participate on whatever level, but if your job doesn't exist anymore, it doesn't exist. But you can look for the job that does exist for you. So, and doesn't mean you're less creative. I think I don't think people's creativity, you know, and we're amazing in terms of our ability to adapt, and that's we're a good species. I mean, we can adapt and we can figure out what we need to do, and that's part of the challenge. I think it's everybody's chance. But anyway, but that being said, I realize it's good. I know the contract negotiations, but I don't like this sort of across world fear that AI is going to take away everybody's job. And I don't know. I think it's man. I'll go on for 2 hours and get paid for a year. And and it's all it's the whole thing. We should have contract for third, fourth year. The renegotiation clauses and all this language in there that says I'm good, and there's no exclusivity, so I can do two or three. Yeah, wouldn't
Other
that be great?
projects and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
wouldn't that be great if you get to the point where you can do like 30 movies a year? You know what I mean? So and that's the way it is, and if there's always gonna be some venue if you really need to get on the boards and do some Shakespeare. I do it all the time. I do this with friends all the time. We read Shakespeare, and I've been working through all the histories of Shakespeare. Because so just because maybe your creativity can't be harnessed and you get paid for what you get paid for. That's the nature of industry. So anyway, that being said, I'm kind of liking this, and Bernie's great. So I kind of very glad. I told him he's so funny because I say, Bernie, just if whenever you need me, I'll sign up. And he goes, well, I still want to explain to you, make sure, because he doesn't want someone to come on and saying, oh, what do you guys, because there is that sort of prejudice against it. But I said, yeah, that sounds awesome, and I feel really good that not only sort of be part of a project that is on the forefront of this type of entertainment, this sort of gaming entertainment, where really it's not even like motion I mean, everything's just being generated. It's kind of crazy, right? But not only am I part of that, I think sort of on that forefront performing wise, because it's actually a lot of fun, and I'll be very intrigued to see what happens to my character over the years, and that'll be funny actually. And but on top of that, I think contractually, I said, okay, this is how you structure when you get the right people that want to do the right thing and they want to continue to be able to hire top talent, then you have to set it up this way. That's how it works, and it's maybe harder for people. The problem is with AI, like a lot of the breaking in jobs are hard to get. Those are the ones that are going to start disappearing. So it helps a little if you sort of are somewhat established, but even then, right? So I kind of feel like
It's okay, Tori. You can just say, Mike, you have no career in
you have
Hollywood.
no
It's
career ahead. You're going to be replaced. No, but here's the thing, well, that's the thing is that's kind of forces us to be that much more creative. And I just kind of feel like, for every job that goes away, there's always a new one that's created that's possibly a lot cooler, you know?
yeah.
And I kind of feel like you gotta go with it. And there's no way if you're a creative person, you can't be stifled unless you allow it. Unless you allow it. And technology can be an amazing friend. I've been working a lot of AI stuff, and man, I'm starting to see how much faster I can move my projects forward in terms of just getting, everything. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a lot
You
of good
you
things.
and I were talking about it because, I have a script that I want to turn into a film that I'm going to work on independently out here. But I'll talk more about that off air with you because there are some hurdles that I'm hitting right now, and
Yeah.
it's probably going to put the project on the back burner for a while.
Well,
So,
I will tell you, my sense is that AI really can accelerate the process and lower the cost. So if you're a filmmaker, I think these are really exciting times ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So anyway,
with that, you could follow him on Instagram at Toru Masamune,
yes.
all one word.
Oh yeah,
And
I do have one thing I can pitch. I'm doing a really fun charity on November 21st at the Saban Theater in Beverly Hills. It's called Comeback Radio Christmas Carol. I'm getting on stage with all it's an amazing cast and it's really fun. It's Ron Perlman, Paul Reiser, and Kristanna Loken, all these folks, and they kind of get together and it's to fight NMOSD and pediatric cancer, and we just it's a huge fun event that we do over in Beverly Hills. It's November 21st, so it's odd that we're doing Christmas Carol that early. And they have some Emmy Award winning writers that kind of rework the script, and we just go. Everybody has a great time. And this is my first time. I've gone to it before. It's a blast, but this is the first time they invited me to be part of the cast, and I don't know what they're gonna have me do, but
well, one
if
way
you
or
want,
the other, you're going to knock it out of the park, and we'll make sure to promote it on our social medias
yep,
as well, which for us, obviously, it's at TXHT_hockey on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Yes, we have Threads, and I believe it's also that way on Blue Sky. And then obviously it's TXHT Hockey on YouTube, and just look up TXHT Hockey on Facebook. And I just need to put out this little PSA. I am obviously going to be creating content at the Capitals games. I'm going to be
mm,
posting it on social media. Please do not steal my content and post it as your own.
mm,
That's what we call a dick move. I've already sent one so-called Washington Capitals fan page a cease and desist from this past season.
really,
Yes, don't do it. You're a dick
yeah,
for stealing other people's content and posting it as your own.
yeah, that is,
So I just want to put that out there with the season starting up soon. And I know October 7th, no, October 8th. October 7th is when the NHL starts. October 8th is when the Capitals start. October 8th, I will be posting content.
yep,
I better not be seeing it on anyone else's thing unless you're actually sharing it directly from my pages.
yep. We're giving you credit at the very least, right?
No, oh no, no, they wouldn't even give I just saw this same Facebook page post up something from ESPN Europe or NHL Europe, and they didn't even credit them. And I knew the video because I think I shared it with you on Instagram too.
Mm,
So it was the rubber duckies down the creek thing.
okay.
Yeah, and yeah, so I'm just making that PSA right now. It's like I shouldn't have to make a PSA saying don't steal my content and post it as your own.
Just do the right thing.
Yeah, just
Everybody
do the right thing.
else.
Just share the page. That means more to me. I've been working on this for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I deserve the credit for my work. So just like how much Toro deserves the credit for his work.
That's right.
We are creators.
We are creative.
But obviously, and then you can follow me personally on social media at the Lindenbaum 75. That is it on all social media, um, except on YouTube, which is it's X75 Productions. But this show specifically goes onto the TXHT Hockey YouTube page. So with that,
Oh yeah,
Toro,
really quickly
yes,
before we close, that is John Maynard Keynes, the economist. In the long run, we are all dead.
yes.
John
See,
Maynard Keynes.
that is a very horrible way to end this. No, just kidding. It's
Oh
like,
no, no, it's good. It means live in the moment. It's like
yeah, that's true.
that's what it means.
But I don't want to die just yet. So I just turned 39, good
It's
sir.
not. It's not going to happen till the long run, so you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it yet. It's
My
basically.
gray hairs say differently. Um,
Mm,
but which is funny because I'm about to shave my beard off because it's what I do at the beginning of every season, anyways. Um, but with that, next week we are going to have Ted Starkey from Hockey Hot Stove and the author of Red Rising on. He is coming back. He's going to be doing more episodes this season. We are planning on doing more episodes. However, Toro I know because of your schedule, you're not going to be on as often.
Yeah.
I did ask Toro for permission to bring on Starkey and others more frequently to
You don't
make
need
this
my
pod.
you don't need
This
you
is
don't need
our
my
sh
permission for anything. So
listen,
thank you,
listen,
I appreciate it.
listen. This is our show.
Yeah.
This is our show. You have been on, I mean, I've been on every episode, but you have been on the most episodes. You have
Mm,
essentially have established yourself on this show. This is
sure.
our show. This is our show.
Yeah.
Um, but to accommodate for Turo not being able to be on all the time because of his schedule right now, we're gonna have Starkey on. We're gonna have some others on that I can't just say yet because I'm still working on a couple of those. But yeah, it's to help make the show a little bit more consistent throughout the season, but also give Toro some flexibility too at the same time. So when we're able to get him on, we can get him on. I just now know that November 21st is completely off the books. Um,
That's right.
so, but we will still try to get Toro on as much as we can. We'll probably trust me, when we can get him on more often, you'll know. You'll
Hmm.
know. So, because we want his Oilers takes.
Absolutely. Well, they're gonna go on a big losing streak until November anyway.
And then
So
McDavid's going to ask for a trade out of Edmonton, but you know.
yeah, and I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't believe that. Whether it's how long his contract is, but that's not my
Well,
feeling.
he's on the last year of his contract, so that's the thing. He hasn't signed a new one.
Oh, I know, but I
But if
don't.
they go on a losing streak, he could just go, you know what, just trade me. It's okay. Just get me out of here.
But I think I don't think he thinks that way. I don't think he.
I don't think he thinks that way
Yeah,
either. I'm
I
just
think he's got his eyes on the prize, and he knows it's like, it's like, it's all it is, it is that long game, and I think that's the way he's thinking. I don't think he's even thinking, oh, if we, I mean, he's not gonna be happy, but he also knows that, fast starts sometimes aren't the way to win a cup,
yeah.
so
I mean, look at the Caps. I mean, the Caps were and the Winnipeg Jets for that matter last season. They were both
yeah,
dominant from the beginning, and
yes.
they both fizzled out in the second round.
Well, that's another thing too, is you got to realize you don't want to be tired out. You don't want, you
Well,
want to,
we talked about this one for the Capitals. The Capitals' problem was the Great Chase.
yeah, absolutely,
The Great
absolutely.
Chase wore out the Capitals
Yep,
because it was that distraction.
absolutely.
And once Ovi got the record, the team needed to reshift their focus back to getting ready for the playoffs. And I don't think they really truly ever got there
Yep,
because they had clinched their playoff spot so early
yep.
on before Ovechkin broke the record. I think if Ovechkin, I think if they had clinched closer to when Ovi broke the record, there'd probably be a little bit more of that push or that refocusing of getting themselves into playoff form. And I think that was the thing. Whereas with Winnipeg, it was Connor
Oh
Hellebuck.
my God. Well,
Like,
they were good during the preseason.
jeez.
So
But so with that, he's wait, hold on. I'm trying to figure out my pointing for YouTube. That's Tora Masamune.
yeah, I
I'm
know who it is.
Michael, and until next time, we will see you on the ice.